check it out. In this episode of Prototype Hunting, we just came across a flock of completely camouflaged vehicles. Now we're up here in Breckenridge, Colorado at the base of an off-road trail. So someone's doing some kind of off-road testing, but this is a pretty hard trail. This is Middle Fork of the Swan. It's like a 6 out of 10 on Onyx, so maybe we're looking at some kind of Jeep. Let's see if we can get up close. Well, it's got off-road tires, got pretty decent ground clearance, but it's got the word TrailSport on the side. And actually, for some light to you, in this video, I'm going to take the all-new Honda Pilot TrailSport up a pretty challenging trail that you wouldn't expect it to do. So this is a pretty wild day. What we're driving here is a pre-production unit still in camouflage because they haven't officially shown this vehicle to the world, but Honda invited myself and a videographer out to Breckenridge, Colorado to showcase this vehicle's capability. Now, Honda is a brand that has a long history of on-road engineering, driving performance, and quality, but it's not a brand that has, in my mind, been synonymous with off-roading in the past. Which is kind of funny because their power sports division, like their motorcycles or side-by-sides, are some of the best in the world, but they've never really gone that route with their car division until now. So what we're driving is the new Honda Pilot TrailSport, and there's still a lot I don't know about it, but what I do know is that the last time I was on this trail, I was in a Tacoma TRD Pro with Toyota, and now I'm in a Pilot. That's how confident Honda is in this vehicle's ability. So this is a really cool little cabin along the way. This is actually an old mining route. So this connects Breckenridge with Montezuma and Keystone on the other side of the mountain at, like, I don't know, 12,000 feet above tree line. It's a really cool little trail. And this little mining cabin was intact up until super recently, and now I've come back and it's fallen down. That's a real bummer. But this is a really cool trail. Now, Onyx Off-Road rates this as a 6 out of 10. Check out Onyx Off-Road for all your trail off-road navigation needs. So we got this section up here where it's gotten pretty rocky, pretty gnarly. We got a couple rocks, probably over a foot tall. Some a little bit smaller, but they're in weird spots. So we're gonna get a little bit of spotting action to get the Pilot up this. All right. All of a sudden, this has got real interesting real fast. Now it's my turn to drive a Priceless Prototype up that mountain, and we shall see what'll happen. I'm really nervous about this, actually, because there are, what, a few of these in the whole country, and they're trusting me with driving a Pilot up a 6 out of 10 trail in Colorado. That's pretty bold. Now, they did air us down, which was super nice. We are down to 23 psi or so, and we're going to try to keep it out of the tree and keep it out of the rocks, and we'll see what happens. Got a spotter who was the program lead for this car. Try to 2-foot it a little bit. Hard on skid plates there. Come on, Pilot. Wow. Look at that. That was pretty awesome! Woo! That was a Pilot! Freaking crazy! This vehicle has a 1-inch additional ground clearance compared to a standard 2023 Honda Pilot, and that's great, right? It's got revised suspension tuning. It also has different stability bars tuned for off-road performance, articulation, ride quality, that kind of thing out of the rocks. But it extends beyond just that 1-inch lift. It also has real underbody protection. Now, this is the integrated skid plate. So this is a beefy 4mm thick high-strength steel skid plate. And do you see this at the front of the skid plate? This is actually the recovery point rated to 2 times the GVWR of the vehicle, and it's nice and rounded off here so you don't tear your recovery point. Now, this is a really clever idea, right? Because typically you'd have to have like a recovery point on the front of the vehicle, and then you have crash safety concerns and like pedestrian concerns, but by doing it underneath all in one tight unit, it's one compact package. Now, you're probably thinking, well, it's pretty low. What happens if a strap scrapes the front of the vehicle? Well, this valance has been designed to have a little bit of contact done to it, and it's also very cleverly this kind of flat grade plastic, so you're not going to see any scratches on there. Now, if we come along to the side, the fuel tank skid is big and large and in charge. You can see it down here. That's a 2.8 millimeter thick, high strength steel skid, and we are certainly putting it to the test. Now, this trail, if you look at Onyx Off-Road, is rated as a 6 out of 10. So this is a trail that they recommend strongly that you bring a vehicle with a low range out here, right? Proper all-terrain tires, recovery points, you know, like this is the real deal. All right, so we're really starting to climb here. Got some pretty significant uphills with some loose rocks. You can hear the all-wheel drive system trying to figure out what's going on. We also have these larger rocks in the middle of the trail. And this is typically where I would engage a low range in a off-road vehicle, but the Pilot doesn't have one. And believe it or not, the torque distribution in first gear really feels pretty good, which I'm very impressed with. That was kind of a cakewalk, actually. Now, of course, the difficulty of not having a low range is you build a lot of heat up in the transmission, and I'm hoping that we're not going to have any major issues today, but it's really cool that Honda's allowing us to push these vehicles to this point. Oh. All right, now this is where things get a little bit interesting, and I don't know what the ground clearance is on this vehicle. They haven't released that spec yet. I would figure somewhere around 8.5, 9 inches. Can't believe we just took a Pilot up that. It's gonna look like nothing on camera, but that was a steep right turn with some fairly sizable rocks thrown in there, and it did take a little bit of momentum, but not much at all. And this iVTM4 system with the torque distribution in the rear end is doing an excellent job of kind of keeping us pointed down the trail, keeping us moving where we need to go. Let's talk about the design of the new 2023 Honda Pilot. Well, we can't see much because this is still ahead of the reveal, and Honda has gone ahead and of course incorporated all this camouflage. This is like a dazzle theme, so that not only can the public not figure out what it looks like, but of course competitors can't figure out what it looks like. But there's a couple of things we can see. So we've got this much more butch squared off headlight than the current generation. I love these little grille openings, these little squared off ribs. They look fantastic. Large grille ducts along the base, and then I think it's fair to say that that's probably going to be a Honda badge, and it's looking pretty big. Now, as we come along to the side here, check out these wheels. Now, these wheels were specifically designed for the TrailSport, and I love that Honda has actually gone to an 18-inch wheel. So, like, some of its competition is claiming off-road packages, but they'll be like with a 19 or a 20-inch wheel, and you're like, no, you just can't do that. You can't do this stuff with a big wheel. But Honda is devoted to the small wheel, which is fantastic, and they say they've designed it as well to keep the spokes away from rocks and stuff. And these tires, this is the Continental Terrain Contact tire. Now, in the past, Honda has offered tires that look all-terrainy in the sidewall, but the actual tread block is not very all-terrain. However, this is an actual all-terrain tire, but even better for a lot of folks, it's 3-peak snow rated, which is a huge deal. So here in Colorado, we get a lot of snow, probably not a lot of surprise, but in the wintertime, having that 3-peak snow rating is an enormous deal, which is fantastic. Got the mirror along the side here. Now, they did put TrailSport, so they're not completely, camouflaging it, but kind of a fun thing actually is part of the camo is they want to disguise the body line, so not only is there the swirl pattern, but there's actually like a squishy padding throughout, which is fantastic. It looks like we got roof rails up top, got a large rear window in the rear, and then coming along back, this is pretty cool. All the TrailSports are going to have an integrated receiver, and look how beefy the points are for the safety chains, and that's because these are rated to recover the vehicle. And then you'll also find a full-size spare tire with a matching wheel to complement the TrailSport. So not a lot we can fully see on the outside, and we're not allowed to film the inside yet, but we'll have a full reveal coming up shortly. This video is just about showing the capability. Honda uses a system called iVTM4, and it is a full-time all-wheel drive system. But what makes it special is the rear diff has a twin clutch setup which can distribute torque left and right. And I've had a lot of experience with the system on rollers and other vehicles. And here, we'll play a little bit of that footage now. Into drive, a little bit of throttle. Okay, no problem there. In normal mode, good result. Let's go ahead and try it in its most aggressive setting, sand mode. Into drive, foot on the throttle. Yep, no problem whatsoever there. So it works really well in a controlled environment, but what's amazing is how well it works in the real world. Now, this Pilot TrailSport also has a mode called Trail, which increases the pressure on the clutches in the rear diff and allows up to 75% torque distribution to either the left rear or the right rear wheel, while maintaining 25 to the wheel that perhaps is in the air. But what that means is that you can get the vehicle off kilter, you can get vehicles in the air, but with just a little bit of throttle pressure, you can really get through a lot of those kind of off-camber situations with a lot of confidence. And we've definitely been experiencing that, where we get a nice steep hill, 15, 18 degrees. You got a hole on the right, hole on the left, you got the vehicle off kilter, and then with just a little bit of accelerator, the wheel in the air will stop spinning, the wheel on the ground will start engaging, and then you can pull yourself out. So a very useful feature we've been utilizing on the Pilot TrailSport is the Trail Watch camera system. And there's a set of cameras, a really useful one in the front, but my favorite are the ones that poke out from the side mirrors so you can see what you're going to approach with your sidewalls. It's really, really handy. Now, let's talk a little bit about the powertrain and the transmission. We know nothing. Is basically the summary there. This car is still very early on in its release cycle, and they haven't told us what's under the hood or the horsepower or the transmission. So it's kind of a little bit of guesswork. Now, here's my prediction just from driving it. It doesn't feel like it's a turbocharged 4-cylinder. It feels like it is a variation of a 6-cylinder, probably, I shouldn't say probably, maybe perhaps similar to what's in the current Pilot. And the transmission feels like a torque converter automatic. It does not feel like it has a dual clutch, and it certainly doesn't feel like it has a CVT, which is a great thing. Well, an absolutely great morning driving up this trail. We made it several miles in. Now we're gonna have some lunch, turn around, and make our way down. But if you look over there, that's looking pretty ominous. Maybe some weather moving in. There's supposed to be a flood watch in the town of Breckenridge all day today. So things might get pretty interesting. Had my chicken wrap, it was quite good. Had ginger candy, which they provided for those of us who are a little bit worse for wear at high altitude. That stuff is bad. That stuff sticks to your teeth forever. It's like eating just sushi, just like plop. No, don't do the ginger candy. But it's starting to rain quite a bit now. We're gonna hop back in the cars and head down the mountains. All right, well, the rain is really coming down now. And we're going to traverse this nasty little rock section in the wet. And we shall see how the Pilot does down this little section. Just following the spotter. This guy's literally been deemed a trail boss, actually, by the, the school that taught him, which is pretty cool. See if we use a skid plate here. So far so good, feels pretty good. Okay, that's the skid plate, but that's what it's there for. Making it nice and easy. You can hear the slick rock kind of slipping under the tires a little bit. It feels pretty good. And I think just like that, we made it down. Sweet! So on the way down the mountain, we've had no issues. A couple of shifting rocks because it's been wet, but the Pilot TrailSport's been killing it. We also have a hill descent control, which you activate via a button I can't show you. Right here, you push that button, and then you can actually control the speed via the brake pedal. So if you like drive at 3 miles an hour, it'll lock in at 3. It goes between 2 and like 12 miles an hour, which is pretty cool. But yeah, this thing has been an absolute surprise out here on the trail. We made it up some pretty serious terrain. We didn't get any transmission overheat issues. The IVTM4 system is really pretty amazing, and specifically in the TrailSport that has a trail mode, it's a really big deal. We were playing around a little bit earlier on the way up. The difference between normal and trail in like an off-camera situation is pretty enormous. You can really feel that extra torque pressure on the clutches in the back. So definitely recommend the TrailSport if you're looking to do some fun stuff in your Pilot out in the dirt, even if it's just to get to cool campsites. The peace of mind you get from the skid plates, the tires, the recovery points is well worth the cost of admission. And they won't tell me, but I'm pretty sure it's got a wheel transmission with a torque converter, which makes it far more satisfying off-road than any of the super stuff, even the wilderness. It's just torque delivery up hills at low speeds is so much better. The Honda Pilot TrailSport will be hitting dealers by the end of this year. Now, we don't have pricing, we don't have fuel economy, so be sure to stay tuned while we get all those numbers. But as always, a huge thank you for watching. Behind the camera, it's been Cole, and of course Tommy in front of the camera. We'll see you in the next episode.